I've heard it, you've heard it, I've even said it. We've all heard it said that taxation is theft. But is that true? Well, tell you what, let's take some time and we'll ponder that next on the Constitution Study.
There's one thing you have to know wherever you make your stand. Came from a long through line of everyday Americans.
Well, hello there, everyday Americans. Paul Engel with the Constitution Study. Another Ponder This episode. I'm glad you could join me. As always, I'm going to point you to the website, constitutionstudy.com. This actually came from some other questions I've been hearing people talking about. If you want to have yours considered, well, at that website, you can ask a question. Maybe it'll end up on one of these episodes. Hey, you can have me come out to one of your groups. You can see where I'm speaking. You can sign up for the mailing list. All that's available on the website, constitutionstudy.com. I want to thank people who share this message because that does help tremendously to get the message out and have other people see it. And I want to thank those who help, whether it's Rebel North and let me use their music, or the other organizations that help share this, that just help encourage me, give me ideas to make these episodes, because it's a lot of work, but I enjoy it, and it's really helpful when you give me ideas that I can work with and then help share this message. So let's talk about this idea that taxation is theft. I understand the meaning. I understand the idea, right? Because none of us likes April 15th. None of us likes to look at our paycheck and see all the taxes that are taken out. And we don't like it, we didn't agree to it, and we call it theft. But is taxation theft? And my answer is not always. Now that means that sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. So what do I mean? Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1 of the Constitution authorizes Congress to lay and collect taxes for certain specific functions, based on the ideas of common defense and general welfare of the United States. Things like raising armies, coining money, negotiating treaties for foreign commerce. All those are things that we've told Congress you can collect taxes from us to pay for. Now, to call that theft would be wrong. For example, let's say you hire some local kid, some neighborhood kid to mow your lawn. Now, as you head out of the house one day, you see him out mowing the lawn and you say, hey, I've got to go run some errands. When you're done, head into the kitchen. On the counter, you'll find a bottle of water and $20. Take it, that's yours, go ahead, and thank you very much. Now, you can't really call the police on him and say, hey, he stole from me because he entered my house and took money. You told him to go enter your house and take money. Well, that's the very same thing we do with Congress, right? We say, okay, come into our house, come into our wallet, take money. We then, in the 16th Amendment, said, hey, better yet, come into our paychecks and take money. We're going to let you tax income. We told them to. We said it was okay. Now, if that example continues, if that kid walks into the house, grabs a bottle of water, grabs the $20, and then goes over and sees an envelope full of cash and grabs that, that is theft. Or if he looks at the brand new Blu-ray player or the new laptop and he grabs that, well, that is theft. But not the $20 you told him he could take. Now, on the Constitution, we said, okay, Congress, you can collect money for these things in Article 1, Section 8. Like I said, raising armies, organizing the Navy, coining money, foreign commerce, coming up, those types of things. You can collect money for that. What we didn't tell you could collect money for was Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, Department of Energy, Department of Education, EPA. We didn't tell you could do that. That is theft. Now, you know me, words have meanings and I like being specific. Is taxation theft? Not always. But depending on whose numbers you use, somewhere between 50 and 75% of every dollar that Congress appropriates from you, that Congress lays on you in taxes, is theft. Not 100%, somewhere between 50 and 75, depending on whose numbers you use. Again, why is this important? Because taxation is theft is one of those statements that is easily tossed aside. If you have someone who is big government, they like a big government, they think they want a big, powerful federal government, and you just go and say, well, taxation is theft, they can easily dismiss you. If you come and say, is it legal for Congress to take money from you that you have not told them they could have? Well, that becomes a different question. Now, the whole question is, well, is the federal government the best way to do these things? That's a whole nother question. Same scenario. You have a kid that mows your lawn. He comes in and he says, excuse me, but I noticed while I was mowing your lawn that your garden is full of weeds. And for an extra $10, I will weed your garden. Hey, that's a great idea. Here's an extra $10. That's fair. If he comes and says, hey, your house needs to be painted, I can paint your house. And you say, well, okay, here you go. Here's $200 to paint the house. That's fair. The problem is Congress has come along and said, hey, you know what? We think you're not collecting money for your retirement, and you really should. We're not going to ask you to do this. We're going to threaten you to do this. We're going to threaten you with jail time and fines if you don't let us take your money to go do what we want to do. We're the kid coming in saying, I notice your garden needs to be weeding. Give me $20 or I'm calling the cops. See, taxation isn't so much theft. Taxation has been used now as extortion. The Congress has used the power to tax to extort money from the American people. Because they've said, we're going to use this money for whatever purpose we want, even though we've told them you've got a limited number of things you can use it on. And when they break the rules, we just sit back and say, okay. Kid comes into your house and says, give me $20 to weed the lawn, or else you should kick him in the pants. Throw him out of the house and tell him, not only am I not giving you that, but you're not mowing my lawn anymore. I'll find some kid who will follow the rules. Why don't we do that with congressmen? Why don't we go to our representatives saying, you're breaking the rules, you're fired? Why? Because we've been taught and we've been trained to be submissive to government, forgetting that government works for us. The federal government works for us, the state government works for us, not the other way around. So the next time you hear someone say taxation is theft, I'd say remind them, well, it's more extortion. Because sometimes it's legitimate, but very often it's not. And let's not resort to hyperbole, because that just makes our argument weaker. And that's my thoughts about, is taxation theft? So I hope that made you think. Again, I look at things a little differently. Some of you may have heard that and go, and you just turned it off. Hopefully you've lasted this long. Well, if you're listening to this, you have lasted this long. To stop and think, not all taxation is theft. Because if you authorize someone to take money from you, you've authorized them to take money from you, therefore it's not theft. When they take more than they've been authorized, that is theft. And that is what we need to do something about. Again, not play keyboard warrior, not whine on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram or Twitter, but to actually go to your employee, your representative, and complain. And not just complain, threaten their job. Tell them if they're going to break the rules, you're going to work to fire them and find someone who won't break the rules. It really is simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. Now, granted, if you and I go to our legislator and say, hey, listen, you've appropriated money that's illegal, you're breaking the rules, you're violating the Constitution, and if you continue to do that, we're going to fire you. Well, that's 2 votes out of who knows how many in a district. Probably about 500,000. But what happens when it's not 2? What happens when it's 20 or 200 or 2,000 or 20,000? What happens when we start holding these men and women accountable? When we say, no, you can't steal from us anymore. We will fire you. Just like an employee of any other company, if they're caught stealing, they will at least be fired. Well, Guess what, House of Representatives? You write all the taxation laws. If you are going to try and steal from us, we are going to start standing up and calling for you to be fired. And if enough Americans stand up and start doing that, it's amazing the change I expect to happen in Washington. But it only happens if you and I pick up the mantle of being citizens in a free country. If we hold our employees in Congress accountable. If we don't, they will continue to extort money out of us and then use that money to bribe us to keep quiet. Does that really sound like the land of the free? Does that sound like the home of the brave? Because it doesn't sound like it to me. So hopefully, again, I'm hoping I'm making you think. I'm hoping I'm challenging some of those stereotypes that we've all been taught that really don't hold water. So take this message, comment, let me know what you think. Give me other examples where Congress is extorting money to use for illegal means. Better yet, give me examples where you have done something about it, whether it ultimately was effective or not, where you have engaged your representative to fix a problem like that. Most of all, share these messages, help encourage other people to think and reason and discuss and debate the Constitution, and then come back here the next time for the Constitution Study.
Came from a long through line of everyday Americans.